Okay, so I want to welcome all of you to our webinar on getting started with Google Sheets. Now, this course or this program is going to help you to learn how you can use Google Sheets to analyze and visualize your data. Now, Google Sheets is one of the popular platforms or tools data analysts are using to analyze their data and also visualize their data. So today, I'm going to give you a high-level introduction to Google Sheets and how you'll be able to use it to analyze your data. Now, this program is put together by Firstman Learning Hub. So at Firstman, we provide premium digital skills, training on data analytics, data science, financial modeling, UX design, and digital marketing. Now, from the beginning of this month to next year, we are going to be providing you guys with free sections on digital skills, how you'll be able to develop your digital skills. Now, the workplace is changing rapidly. Now, most companies are looking for people who have the right digital skills that will help them to support their digital strategy. So that's the more reason why we have introduced these free sections. So last week, we looked at how to get started with data analytics. And this is the second section that we have within our data and digital skills bootcamp. Now, on 1st January, we're also going to have another free section. So if you guys are around, I would encourage all of you to try and also join us when we launch that program. Now, my name is Thomas Festus Kujo. I'm the lead trainer at Firstman Learning Hub. I'm a Microsoft and Google certified data analyst. I'm also a chartered accountant with professional qualifications from Chartered Institute of Accountant Ghana and then Chartered Institute of Management Accountant UK. I'm also a finance analyst with one of the top financial institutions in Ghana. Now I'm going to take you through this section. So what will happen is I will do the demo and everything. At the end of the program, I'm going to give you guys a platform to ask your questions. So let's get started. So now to be able to use the Google Sheet is a cloud-based application. So what it means is that you don't need to download or install anything. You can access the Google Sheet platform on your web or on your browser. So here you are not going to download anything. Now, Google Sheet is part of the Google Workspace. So we have Google Forms, we have Google Slides, we have Google Sites. We also have Google Docs and then Google Drive. All these are part of the Google Workspace. So Google Sheet is just one part of it, and that's the Spreadsheet program, which is part of that Google Workspace. So to be able to access the Google Sheet, just open a new browser. So here you can just open any browser that you are using and just search for Google Sheet. Now, when you enter this, you see the first option here. You see www.google.com, and then you also have this, and then the sheet. So what you need to do is to just click on this. Now, before you be able to access it, you have to make sure you have a Gmail account, which I believe all of us have a Gmail account. So what I would do is to click on this link. And now you'll be directed to the home page where you'll be able to see like what it does, some of the features. You can also see overview. So here it says create and collaborate online or on online spreadsheet in real time from any device. And here we have go to sheet. We also have try sheet for work. Then you can scroll down and you'll be able to read more about what the Google Sheet is all about. So here when you scroll down, it tells you some of the features that we have in Google Sheet. If you also want to go to security, you can also look at some of the security features that we have here. You'll be able to see some of the security features. If you also want to check the pricing, you can also check the pricing. So if it's for personal use, it's free, just like your Gmail and then the Google, any of the Google platform that you use. It's free if you are using it for personal purposes. But if it's an organization and also you want to use a platform, you also have different packages that you can subscribe to. So you have one of them, which is $12 per user per month. And these are some of the features of each of the packages. But because you are going to use it for personal use, you can just click on Go to Sheet, or just on top here, you can also click on Go to Sheet. So I'm going to click on this. And now this will be directed to the backstage. So here, all the Google Sheets that you already have, all of them are going to be here. Okay. If you want to start from scratch, you can also click on start with a spreadsheet. So you can just click here and now you'll be able to get started with a Google Sheet. So as you can see, if you are already familiar with Microsoft Excel, this looks just like Microsoft Excel on your desktop. Okay, so this is the Google Sheet platform. So if you take a look at this, those of us who are here to get started with even Excel, you see that we have some boxes here. These are what we call cells. And then on top here, we also have Untitled Spreadsheet. So as at now, the spreadsheet that we are using doesn't have a name. We have not actually saved it. So you can go ahead and give your spreadsheet a name. Okay, so you can go ahead and give it a name. So let's see intro. Okay, introduction. So here, this is going to be the name of the Google Sheet that we have inserted here. But one thing is that your sheets are going to be saved on your Google Drive. So as far as you have Gmail, you have access to Google Drive. So the file that you are working here is going to be saved on your Google Drive. So anytime that you want to access it, you can access it directly on your Google Drive, or you can access it on Google Sheets. Okay. So here, you see that you have been able to give it a name. So when you go to your drive, now you see something here, it says My Drive. This is where the file is saved. So when you click on this, okay, when you click on this, sorry, you see My Drive. So you can actually see where the data is being saved, okay? If you want to move it to a different location, you can also move it from this direction, okay? How do you open the account? So to open the account, you just need your Gmail account, Gmail, which I believe all of you have a Gmail account. So to access the Google Sheet, just open a new browser and then just search for Google Sheet, okay? And then you'll be directed to the Google platform. Okay, so just open a new browser and just search. Don't bother yourself with any link. Just search for Google Sheet, and then you'll be directed to the platform Google Sheet. Okay, and now you see the options here. So you have the sheet here. So you just click on it. It will direct you to the platform. Okay, yeah. So that's how you'll be able to access the platform. Now, so once you are here, you see that we have the cells, the columns, and your rows. We also have the sheet here. So you can see that by default, it also comes with sheet 1, just like Excel, sheet 1. So here, if you want to rename your sheet, you can just double click on it. And then you see that the name has been highlighted. So you can go ahead and type the name that you want to give to that particular sheet. So maybe this is going to be student. I just type student, then press enter. This is going to be the name of the sheet from this moment onwards. If I also want to insert additional sheet, I just click on this plus button here, and I'll be able to add a new sheet, which will come with the default name, sheet 2. So here, if I want to rename it, just double click on it, you'll be able to rename this particular sheet. Sometimes you also have an Excel file, which is sitting on your desktop or even on your Google Drive. Now you want to convert it into a Google Sheet so that you'll be able to access some of the features that you have in Google Sheet. You can also make use of that. Okay, so here on the file tab, I'll go to import. So here I'll be able to import a file, which is not a Google Sheet, into my Google Sheet environment. So now I click on import. Here I can access any of the files on my Google Drive, or I can go to upload. So here, when you go to upload, it will enable you to upload the file from your device that you are using. So here, if I go to from device, I'll be able to access different files that I have here on my PC. Okay, so using this option, you'll be able to import any Excel file that you have sitting on your desktop into your Google Sheet environment, where you'll be able to access some of the advanced features that you have in Google Sheet. Okay. Apart from this, you can also start with a template. So here when I go to file, I can go to new, and here I can create a new spreadsheet, or I can pick one from template gallery. So when I click on this, it opens to a new tab, and you'll be able to see some of the templates or some of the inbuilt templates that you can also get started with. So here we have blank, where you have to start from scratch. You also have a sample dashboard. You also have monthly budget. You also have to do annual budget. So if you want to quickly develop some templates for your organization, you can come in directly you can come in directly and then you'll be able to access some of these templates. So here, if I want to maybe make use of some of the dashboards that I have here, I can just click on maybe, hey, let's pick this project template. And here you'll be able to see those who develop those templates, okay? But now let's go and make use of those simple ones. For example, monthly budgets. So I can click on this. And now I'll be able to access some sample budgets that I can use to track my transactions. So if you need a budget that is going to help you to track your transactions, you'll be able to get a sample here. And if you take a look at this, this is developed in Google Sheet, okay? So with this, you'll be able to see a highlight of your expenses. Then you also have transaction sheet. So this is where you'll be able to enter your data. So here I can clear everything and then start off, okay? So here, maybe 1st January. So here I can enter an amount, maybe 1,000. Description, I can say this is my cost or maybe data bundle. And then I can pick a category from here. So maybe this is maybe utility, okay? You also have the income side that you can enter. And now when you come here, you'll be able to see a breakdown of how your expenses is going. Okay, so that's how you'll be able to start with a template that we have some inbuilt template that you can utilize if you want to quickly get some report, or maybe there's a template that you want to design, but you already have some which is on the platform. You can use it and customize it for your use. Now, this template is going to be part of the files or the Google Sheet that I'm going to have within my Google Drive. Okay, so I can access it anytime. Here, if I go to file, so I told you how to insert a template. You just go to file and then you go to new. So you can create a new sheet right from here, or you can start with a template. And I mentioned that the templates are inbuilt spreadsheets that have been developed by either Google or by other people. So here, when you go to the Google, the template gallery, you'll be able to see some of these templates, and you can use any of them and customize it to suit whatever that you want to do. Okay, yeah. So now let's go back to our introductory workbook. Now here, as I told you, you can quickly change the name of a particular sheet. So here you can see that we change this to students, and this is sheet 2. If you want to change it, we can just double click on it and then give it a name. So we are going to call this courses, then press enter. Now this is going to be the name of this particular sheet. The same way, just like in Excel, if you want to type anything, you just go ahead, select the cell, and you begin typing. So let's develop a very simple template. So here I want to start with name. So I just select any of the cells and then begin typing. So I'll say name, and then you can click on the arrow key, okay, to move to the next cell. Just the arrow keys on your keyboard. The next cell here, from the name, I want to see email, okay. Next, I want to maybe type the location of the person. Okay, this one is for courses, no problem. Let's do it this way, location. And then maybe there are supposed to be some dues, okay. So this is for, let me change the name. So let's say this is for my customers. Okay, and then maybe amount, and then I have a section for amount. I can just select each of the cells and begin typing. So it is, I can highlight or select these multiple cells together. We call this a range. So after you selected it, you can format it. So maybe I want to bold it on the toolbar. You see that we have bold, or you can use Control B to bold it. Okay, if you want to italize it, you can also italize it. If you also want to change the color, just on the toolbar, you can click on this and then also change the color. So maybe I want to use this color, or maybe use this color, or maybe use this green color. You'll be able to also change the color. Now, if I also want to maybe give this a background color, just here, you see that we have this fill color bucket here. You can just click on this and give it a fill color. So maybe I want the color to be maybe this gray, okay? And then you can select it. In this case, you can give it the color maybe white. So you can pick white here, and everything looks great, okay? So if you need to enter the details of maybe a particular customer, you can go ahead and enter the person's name. So maybe Festus, it's one of my customers. His email address is festus@firstman.io. That's my email. And then location may be Accra, Ghana. And then the amount the person is owing, maybe 100 cedis. I don't want to owe too much. Let me make it 1 cedi. Okay. And then another person, maybe another customer, maybe Samuel. And Samuel's email is samuel@y.com. Okay. Samuel's location may be Nigeria. How much Samuel owes? Samuel owes maybe 10,000. Okay. And you can begin typing your data just using your keyboard. So after typing it, just use the arrow key to move to the next cell and you can begin typing. Okay. So this is a basic, or this is a high level introduction to all these. Okay. Now let's go ahead. I have this file that I want to use for this demo. So let me go to open. So if you already have existing file and you also want to open it, you just go to the file tab and you see this option open. When you click on this, it sends you to the backstage of Google Sheets where you'll be able to see all the sheets that you already have. So I'll go to open and now this will send you to Drive and you'll be able to see the files that you already have. You also have shared with me. So if somebody has shared a file with you, you'll be able to access it from here. Or if you go to start, the ones that you have started, you'll be able to access it. Or your recent workbook, you can also access it from here. So here, I have this do more, okay? So this is the file that we are going to use for this demo. So I'm going to open it. And now we have this, okay? So as I told you, you see that I have different names for my different sheet. So here I can move in between or move from one sheet to the other by just clicking on the tabs, okay? By just clicking on the tabs. So here we are going to look at the fundamentals. Then we're also going to look at how to work with data. Then we look at data cleanup. Then we can also explore some of the advanced functions that we have in Google Sheets. Then we're also going to look at data validation. And then we also look at how to work with external data. We look at pivot tables, and then we look at charts and graphs. Then finally, we look at how you'll be able to share your workbook and collaborate with other users on the same project, okay? So here on the fundamentals, as I told you earlier, to be able to insert a sheet, you just click on this, you'll be able to add a sheet, okay? If you also want to, sometimes you'll be having a lot of worksheets here, so you'll not be able to see all of them. You can click on this tab here, and you'll be able to see all the sheets at the same time. So here, if I want to move to the data validation sheet, I just click on this. Now I'll be able to activate the data validation. If I want to move to other sheet, I can also click on this pane, and I can move on to this particular sheet to be able to look at it, okay? Now, so this is about how to add sheets and how you'll be able to do some of the basic things within Google Sheets. Now, if you also have a sheet and you want to duplicate it, you want to create a copy of the sheet. For example, this fundamental sheet, if I want to duplicate it, I can just click on this. You see that there's this drop-down arrow. When I click on this arrow, you see that we have duplicate. So if I want to create a copy of this, I can duplicate it. So when I click duplicate, you see that it has created a copy of the active sheet. If I also want to duplicate this again, I can also use this to duplicate it. If I also want to delete it, I can click on delete and I'll be able to delete this particular sheet. It says, are you sure you want to delete this sheet? I'll say yes and click OK. Now the sheet has been deleted. If you also want to create a copy into a different worksheet, you'll be able to do it from here. So here you can create a new spreadsheet out of this particular sheet. So maybe I want to create a new sheet with this particular sheet that I have here. I can click on new spreadsheet. Now it says copying. Now it has been copied successfully. So if I want to open to that particular sheet, I can click on this and you can see that another tab has opened. And if you take a look at this, we have just one sheet, and that's the sheet that we just copied from our sample sheet that we are using. Okay, so it's very simple and then straightforward. So let me close this. Okay, then if you also want to give your sheet different tab colors, you can also come to change color. And here you'll be able to change the color or the tab color. So here, if I pick red, you can see that now it's having this red tab color. So sometimes you want to format your sheet and a different sheet, each of them. You can also use these tab colors to do same. Okay. When you click on the drop down, if you also want to hide a particular sheet, you can also hide it right from this pane. So you can hide it. If you also want to rename the sheet, you can also click on rename and you'll be able to rename it after you have given it a name. So for this fundamentals, if I want to change it, I can either double click on the name of the sheet, or I can click on the drop down and then I'll be able to pick rename and it will bring you to the same point where the name will be highlighted. So what you need to do is you just type the new name that you want to give to that particular sheet, and now everything will be fine. Everything will be fine. Okay, so now I have given you the basics to get started. Okay, now let's move on to the next sheet. So here we have working with data. So now if you take a look at this, I have this data here, okay, that I'm working with. So here I'm going to show you how you'll be able to combine names, how you'll be able to split names into different sections. Now, if you take a look at this sheet that we have here, we have employees' names, the burden, their department, hire date, years, benefits, salary, and then job rating. Now you can see that if you take a look at the employees' names, you can see that the names are like their full names. Now, based on what I want to do, I want to split their names into first names and then last names. You can do all these things. You can do all these things within Google Sheet. So here, I just need to insert some columns that is going to be used for my name, and then which is going to be used for my first names and last names. So here, I'm going to insert two columns. So I'm going to highlight just these two columns, right click and pick insert two columns to the left. Okay, so here you are learning how to insert columns. So I'm going to click on this, and now you can start. And now we have two columns here. So I'm going to name this first name. And this will be last name. So here I want to extract the first name from this employee name. Here you can use a formula to do it, or you can decide to use what we call a smart fill. So in Excel, we have something we call a flash fill. In Google Sheet, we also have a smart fill, which you can use to automatically parse or extract data from a different column. So here I want to extract the first name. So here we have Austin. Okay, so I'm going to just give a sample, just give an example, and Google Sheet is going to populate everything for me automatically using a smart fill. So here I'll just type the name of the first person, or the first name that I want from the first employee name. So I'm going to type Austin. Make sure the name is rightly spelled, okay? Now I'm sure the William should be the first name. So I'll make it William. The next person, Polly or Polly. And the next person is Deborah. Now, as I begin to type Deborah, it has been able to see the pattern that I'm trying to replicate here. Now, quickly, it has been able to come up with a suggestion on how I want to extract the data. So if you take a look at the sample, you see that we have Regina here, we have Edward, we have Douglas here. So you can see that it has been able to see the kind of extraction that we want to do. And now it has been able to come up with a suggestion for you. So here, if you are okay with the pattern that it has been able to suggest to you, you just click on this to accept the suggestion. And here it says, we think we can fill these cells using a formula. And here you can see show formula, and it has been able to write a formula for you based on what you are doing. So here, if you are okay with everything, you just click on accept. And now if you take a look at this, this has been populated for you automatically. Now, if you select any of the cells and you check the formula bar, you can see that they are using a formula to extract the data from the employee's name column. Now look at this. They are using right with length. We are using find and all these things. But here, the formula was written for you automatically. We didn't do everything manually. We just gave an example and it has been able to identify the pattern that we are using to extract the data. Now let's quickly do that for the last name. So here I'll start with Austin. Then go to the next one, Ayala. The next one is Bean. Now as we type Bean, it has been able to identify the pattern. So here it says Frank, here it says Glass, here it says Lawson. So if you take a look at the pattern, you can see that it's doing the right thing by extracting the last names from these employees' names. So here, if you are okay with everything, you can just click on accept. Now everything will be accepted. Now we have the data here. So this is the smart field that we have in within Google Sheet. Yeah, so let me publish this, okay? Let me share it with you so that you can also access it and you can practice along, okay? So let me share this on the web. After that, I'm going to revoke it. So let me make it anyone with the link, okay? So I'm going to copy the link. I'm going to share the link with you in the chat, okay? So you can click on it to also take or get a copy of the data. So go to your chat. I'm putting the link there, okay? So you can access it. So I've shared the link with you in the chat box. So just click on the link to access the sheet so you can also follow along. Okay. So now we have this. So we have been able to extract everything using the smart field, So now let's look at other things that you can do when it comes to working with data. Now, if you take a look at the sheet that we have here, you can see that we have the headers, okay? But at some point when we scroll beyond the interface, you can see that we have lost the headers. Okay? So if I want to fix this headers, I need to freeze it. Just like in Excel, you need to freeze the headers. Now, to be able to do this, what you need to do is to go to the data tab, go to the data menu, okay? So when you click on data, you see that we have, no, just go to view, and you see that we have freeze. We have freeze here. So you can freeze your top row, okay? So let me select this row and then go to view, okay? When I go to view, I'll go to freeze. And here we have this option, freeze up to row 6. That's what I want to do. I want to freeze everything up to row 6. So I'm going to click on this. And now you can see that you see this line just below the header. So now when I scroll, you can see that you can still see the column headers that we have here. So when you scroll down, you can see that everything is fixed. Okay, you see that everything has been fixed now. So now I can scroll down to my data and I can still see the column headers. So that's how you'll be able to freeze your column headers within Google Sheet. You just go to view and you go to freeze and then you pick one of the options based on how you want to freeze your data. Now let me show you another way that you can also freeze your data. So now look at this. These are the employees' name. Now, when I scroll to my right, you can see that I also get lost of the employee that I'm looking at. So in this case, I can also freeze my top or my first column. Okay. So here, when I go to view and I go to freeze, we also have this column options. So I can say freeze the first column. So when I do this, you can see that now there's a line here showing that this part has been frozen. So right now, if I scroll to my right, that particular column is going to remain fixed. Okay, let me add more columns. So now when I scroll, you can see that this particular column has remained fixed because we have frozen it. Okay, so that's how you'll be able to freeze your rows and columns within Google Sheet. Now, if I want to unfreeze it, what I will do is to go to view and then go to freeze and say no rows no columns. So if I pick no column, you can see that now the column has been unfrozen. If I go to view and I go to freeze and I pick no rows, now you can see that now everything is back to normal. Now none of the columns or the rows is frozen. Okay, now you'll be able to work with the data this way. Now let's look at other things that you can do with the data, and that has to do with sorting your data. So sometimes you have a data, you want to sort it in a particular order. Maybe you want to sort it alphabetically, or you want to sort it maybe numerically. You'll be able to do all these things within Google Sheet. For example, if I want to sort the salary, or maybe employees, I want to sort them alphabetically. I can just select any cell within this column or within this data, or I can select the entire data using Control A. You'll be able to select everything. Then I'll go to data. I'll go to the data menu. And here we have sort range and we also have sort sheet. So here, when you go to sort sheet, it says sort by column C. Okay, so because my cell was in column C, now let's see something. If my cell is in column D, okay, I do Control A, and then I go to data menu or the data tab, and I go to sort sheet. You can see that now it says sort by column A, because here my active cell is in column A. If I select this and I go to Control A and I go to the data tab and pick sort sheet, you see that now it says sort by column A. Do you want it from A to Z or Z to A? Now let's pick this Z to A. And now when you sort the data, you see there's a problem. The column headers have been sorted in addition to the data. So that's the more reason why you need to freeze your column headers, so that when you sort, it's not going to take your column headers as part of the data and sort it together with the data. So let me hit Control Z to undo and come back to the original data. So the first thing I'm going to do here is to make sure that this column is frozen. So I'll go to view. Let me select this cell first. Go to view, freeze, and say freeze up to row 6. And now this has been frozen. Now I want to sort the data. So I can select the cell and then select everything. Then go to data, sort sheet by column A. By here, we want to sort it from Z to A, or let's do A to Z. So I'll pick this, and now you can see that the data has been sorted. Okay, so the data has been sorted. So all those whose names begin with A, they are all here, followed by those whose names begin with B, okay, in that order. If I also want to sort it by maybe by salary, so I want to see those who are taking the highest salary to be on top, I can also sort it in that order. The same way, I can select the entire data and then go to the data menu and then go to sort sheet, then sort by column I. That's where I have my salary. And I want to sort it in descending order. Those with the highest salary will be on top. So I can pick Z to A, which means descending. So now I click on this. Now you can see that this is the person who is taking the highest salary within the company. So you can sort the data using the data tab here, and you go to sort. Sometimes you want to sort a particular range, you can also do so. So the same way, I'll select the same data or the entire data, and then I'll go to data and go to sort by range. So here, when you are sorting by range, it says, do you want to sort by column Z? Okay, now let me go again. Sort range and then sort by column D. But here you see that we have advanced range sorting options. So sometimes if you want to sort by multiple columns, this is where this becomes handy. So here, if I go to advanced range sorting, here I can indicate my data has the header row. So those will make the first row to be header. So I can check this option. And what do you want to sort by? I want to sort by employee name first. And that I want to sort it by A to Z. Then I can decide to add another sorting level. Maybe after sorting by employee name, I want to sort it by their department. So I can pick department from here. And that one too, I also want to sort it by A to Z. Maybe I also want to add another sort column. After that, I want to sort it by salary. Then I pick salary. Okay, so here we are sorting by 3 level. So what we are saying is sort by employee name, then by department, then by salary. So that's how the data is going to be sorted. And after you have specified the sorting columns that you want to use, you just click on sort. Now you can see that the whole data changes. Now it has been sorted by the names, and then within the department too, it has also been sorted by the same thing. If I also want to do a different sorting, I can also do the same by highlighting the whole data. Then go to the data tab, sort range, go to sorting options. Here, I want to sort it by building and sort it by department. So here, I will say my data has header row. What do you want to sort it by? I want to sort it by building and then sort it by department. All of them, we are doing A to Z. So I'll just click sort. And now if you take a look at this, it has been sorted by building. And then within each of the building, it has also been sorted by department. So this is how you'll be able to do multiple sorting columns, or how you can sort by multiple columns, okay? Now, apart from this, if you also have large data sets, at some point, you might also want to filter your data. You want to filter your data. Filtering the data means that you want to hide some portion of the data that you are not interested at that point in time, for you to focus on the ones that you are interested in. So if you take a look at this, you see that within the department, you have so many departments. You have a lot of departments, but maybe your boss wants to see, okay, which of these employees are in account management, or which of your employees are in maybe research and development. You can sort the data, you can filter the data to focus on those specific employees. Okay, so how do you sort your data? So we go to the data tab or the data menu, and here we have Create Sort or Create Filter. So I'm going to click on Create Filter. Now, immediately you do that, you see that there has been some icons on each of the column headers. So when it comes to employee name, you see that we have this icon here. When you click on this, you'll be able to see all the employees. And now you can see that there are check marks in front of each of them. What it means is that at this point in time, all the employees are showing. So for example, if you don't want to see any particular employee in the list, you can turn off the check mark. What it means is that if I click OK now, James will not be part of the visible list. Okay, let me maintain this, or maybe cancel this. The same way, if I come to my department, you see that all the departments are here. So if I'm not interested in any particular department, I can uncheck their box, or I can uncheck it. And what it means is that if I click OK now, account management will not be visible. So if I click OK, you can see that now the account management details are gone. And now you can see that there's a funnel here. What it means is that here we have applied a filter. With this one, with the building, you don't see any funnel. It means that we have not filtered the data by this column. So it means that whatever that we are seeing here has been filtered by just department. Now, when I click on the drop down, if I want to show everything, I can click on clear or select all. It means that everything will show now, and click OK. And now you can see that now we have the account management. When I click on it again, maybe I want to show just specific departments. Here I can click clear. So clear means you want to clear everything. Okay, so now if you click OK, nothing will be there because you have unchecked the boxes. Okay, so now nobody or no department is showing. And here, if I want to show maybe a specific department, I can just activate or by clicking it. So if I want to show those employees who are in the human resources, I just click on this and I click OK. And now the data will show me just the employees who are in the human resources department. If I click again, and maybe I want to see creative department, I just click on this and click OK. And now this will be just the creative department. Maybe I want to see two departments at the same time. I can also click on the other one. So in this case, we are looking at two different departments, creative and account management. So if I click OK, and now it shows everything here for me. So that's how you'll be able to filter data. Okay. Now let's clear up the filter. Okay. So here I'll go to select all and click OK. So now you see that there are no filter on the department column. Everything here is showing everything. Now let's look at the salary column. Okay. And some of the things that we can do at the salary side. So here, if I want to sort this and look at maybe employees who are taking salaries above a certain amount, I can do everything here. So here, when I click on the drop down or click on this, I can filter by condition. I can filter by condition. So when I click on this to expand it, here it says none. So as at this time, we have not applied any condition to the filtering that we are doing. So here I can click on the drop down and you can see that we have so many options. So here it's empty, it's not empty, contain, text contains, text does not contain, text starts with, text ends with, text is exactly. We also have dates, we also have numbers, greater than, less than, greater than or equal to. So here, let's look at those employees who are taking greater than 80,000. So I'm going to click on greater than, and then enter the value here. Greater than what? Greater than 80,000. Okay, so after entering this, I just click OK. And now if you take a look at this, you can see that this is showing just the employees who are taking above 80,000. Let's say those who are taking above 85,000. I can go back to my filter, the condition, and instead of 80,000, I change it to 85,000 and then click OK. And now these are the people who are taking above 85,000. Okay, now let's make it 88,000. Those who are taking above 88,000. And now these are the people who are taking above 88,000. So when it comes to sorting, we have a lot of options that you can apply here. Okay, so here, if I want to clear off the filter, I just come to the same place, click on the drop down and pick none and click OK. And now you can see that the data has been restored. So when you filter the data, it doesn't mean that the data has been deleted, just that the data is not visible. The ones that doesn't meet the condition will be hidden. Okay, whilst the one that meet the condition will be visible to you. So you can focus on those specific items. Okay, so that's how you'll be able to filter data. Now, at some point, you'd also want to create some filter views. Filter views means that you want to save the filter that you have done so that subsequently, if you want to see the same data, you don't have to go through the process and filter the data again. So sometimes too, you also want to save the filter that you have done so that subsequently, if you need the filter, you don't have to filter the data again. And that's when you need to create a filter view. So for example, we want to see the employees that are earning more than 88,000. So you'll be able to create a filter view. You go to the same data menu, and here you see that we have filter views. Filter views. So here, let's create a new filter view. And now you can see that you see this darkened borders around the worksheet. Okay, so here you see that we have name. By default, it's going to give you filter 1. So here we are going to change it and make it above 80K. Okay, those above 80K. Then I'll go ahead and then apply my filter. Okay, so I'll go to condition, and here I'll pick greater than 80. Okay, let me make it 88. Okay, and then click OK. So it means that this filter is going to be saved. So anytime I want to show it, I just go to filter views and I'll be able to apply the same filter that I have done here. So here, let's change the name to 88K. Okay, and now after I've given it a name and filter my data, I just click on this to close it. So after I click on this, you can see that now the data is not filtered. The data shows like the original data. Now, if I want to show my filter views, I just go to data, go to filter views, and you see that I have my 88K here. So if I want to show the same filter again, I just click, and now you can see that it has applied the filter. And now if you take a look at the salary column, we have this funnel here, and now you are seeing this. What it means is that now we have applied this filter. Now let's do another one, okay? In this case, we are looking at those who are earning above 80,000 and who are working in the account management department. So here we are going to apply 2 filters. by department and by salary. So what I would do is to go to data and then go to, okay, so what I would do is to go to data and then go to filter views and say create new filter view. And here we just give it a name. So say above 80K and in account management. Okay, that's going to be the name. Sorry. Account management. And now I can go ahead and apply my filter. So here I'm going to clear all and select account management and click OK. So now it's showing account management. By the salary, you can see that we have some who are earning less than 80,000. So I come to my salary column and apply a condition and say salary should be greater than 80,000. And then click OK. So now I have applied these filters, these two filters. So now after I have applied this, I just click here to cancel this and then come back to my original data. So subsequently, if I need to replay or if I need to get that filter, I just go to data, filter views, and I can click on above 80K and account management. Now, when you click on this, you can see that it has now applied the filters again to the data and it's showing you those who meet those two conditions. So it means that within account management, there are 3 people who are earning above 80,000. Okay, so that's how you'll be able to also apply filter views. Now, apart from this, maybe you want to remove the filters. You can go to data and then you see this option here. Okay, this is still showing the filter view. So let's cancel it. So we show the data. So you can see that the filters are still here. If you want to remove the filters, you just come to data and you see you have this option here, remove filters. So I'm going to click on this remove filters. Now, no filter is applied to the data. Now we are seeing the original data. Now, another way that you can also filter your data is to apply a slicer. So slicers are interactive tool that we have that enables you to filter your data in a very intuitive way. So here, instead of every time, if I want to filter my data, let me apply a filter. If anytime I want to filter data, for example, here I want to show ADC. Maybe later on, if I want to show a different department, I have to click here again and then select another department. Instead of going through that process, we can have a tool, okay, that will enable you to just click on a particular item and you'll be able to filter your data without going to the data tab and then apply a filter. So let's remove the filter here, okay, and look at how we can filter our data using slices. So here, if I want to apply slices, I just go to data and go to add slicer or add a slicer. So I'm going to click on this. And now you see that this button has been added, or this tool has been added here. This is the slicer. So here, what I need to do is to select the column that I want to use for the slicer. So here I want a slicer for department. So here, now let me show you again. So what you do is you go to data, add slicer. So immediately you do that, you see that this pane opens for you slices, and you also see this object here or this tool here. Okay, so here within the slice, you see that we have data. So first it needs the range. So the range, it has been so smart to be able to identify the range that we are using. So if you take a look at this, it's from A6 to J747, and that's what we have here. Okay, and now here I can choose the columns that I want to use for this. So when I click on the drop down, I can decide to pick the column I want the slicer for. So what it means is that I need to select the column I want to filter my data by. So if I want to filter by department, I select department. And now this has been inserted for me. So I can select this and then drag it to the side. Okay, and bring it up here. So now I can place it here. I can select it and place it here. So now if I want to filter my data by department, I just click on the drop down and select the department that I want to filter by. So if I want to filter by creative, I just click on creative and click OK. Now the data has been filtered. If I want to filter by maybe human resources. I just select human resources and click OK. So this is the same as a filter, but here you have a button or you have a tool that will enable you to engage with the data in a very intuitive way. So here, if I want to see maybe human resources and marketing at the same time, I just check the two and click OK. Now you can see that the data has been filtered. It's showing just the two departments that I have selected from the slicer. Now, apart from inserting the slicer, if you also want to format it, you can also format it. So here I can select it. Okay, and see that we have these three dotted line or ellipses. When I click on this and click edit slicer, the pane will come. So you see that there are two panes. We have data, and that's the one that we are using to populate the slicer. So here, sort of department, if I want to pick maybe different thing, maybe building, I can pick building. And now it means that this is going to be based on the building. When I go to customize, I can customize the look of this slicer. So here you see that the title is building. If I want to make it very intuitive, I can say filter the, or maybe add something that would describe what this is doing. So maybe filter by building. So that's the description I want to give it, so that when you look at it, then you can see that this is what it means. Then I can also change the font size, maybe 18, or maybe I want to change the font family. I can also change it from here. And you see that we also have background color. So here you can also change the background color. So maybe pick something like this to go with the colors that we are using here. So after you have customized everything, you can click outside. And now when you come here, you'll be able to filter your data. So here I'll pick clear and then select maybe West and click OK. And the data has been filtered by West. If I click down, I can turn it off, maybe South. I can pick this and click OK. And now these are the employees who are within the South building. And you'll be able to get their details here by using a slicer. So use a slicer to filter our data. So the slices works with tables and then pivot tables, just like in Excel. So it works with tables and then pivot tables. Okay. Now let's look at other things that we can do when it comes to your data. Now moving on to this sheet, that is the data cleanup. So I'm going to click on data cleanup. And now if you take a look at this, you also have similar data, but there are issues with this data. First is that you can see that there are some duplicates here. If you take a look at this, you see that there are duplicates. So sometimes when you are cleaning your data, you may be seeing like duplicate entries. If you take a look at this, you can see that there are some spaces, okay, within the data. You can see that there are extra spaces between the last name and then the first name. So you need to clean all these things. Now using Google Sheets, you can also clean and transform your data, okay? So what I would do is to select my data. So the first thing I want to do is to remove the duplicates. So here you can see that this Deborah has been duplicated. All these entries have been duplicated. So let me give it a different color here. All these have been duplicated. Okay, so I want to remove the duplicates. So let me select the entire data. And then I'll go to data. And here you see that we have data cleanup. Or you can right click and you go to more options. Do you have this here? Okay, we don't have it here. So you can access it from the data tab. So here we have data cleanup. So here we have cleanup suggestion. So sometimes looking at the data, you can allow or you can ask Google Sheet to automatically suggest some of the cleaning that you can do to the data. So let's see if it will be able to come up with any recommendation. So I'm going to click on this. And now it has been able to see the issues with this data. It says duplicate rows, and it has given you what the issues are. So it has seen that Deborah has been duplicated. So here when I expand this, you see that it's canceling the other entries. Okay, so it means that it has been identified that there are duplicates. Now look at the next option here. It says white space. It says man. And if you take a look at this, when you hover your mouse over it, it tells you where the issue is coming from. So when you hover your mouse over this and you check the sheet, you can see that it has highlighted where the issues are. Okay, when you hover your mouse over it, you see the red background with broken lines edge. It tells you where the issues are. And here you see this red line. It means that it has seen that there are extra spaces. Okay. So when you hover your mouse, it tells you how the transformation is going to be done. Okay. So first, let's look at this. It tells you that there are duplicates. Okay. So if you are okay with the suggestions, you just click remove. And now you can see that the duplicates are gone. Now let's look at the last option. It says there are issues here, there are extra spaces. So what we need to do is to trim the data. So here you can click on trim all, and now all the data are trimmed, and now there are no extra spaces between the data, and the duplicates are all gone. And now we have been able to clean the data using AI, some of the AI capabilities that we have in Google Sheet to be able to clean and transform our data. Okay, now let me undo this. If you want to do everything manually, you can equally do that by going to data cleanup, and you can decide to remove duplicate yourself. So I'll click on remove duplicate. Now it's asking columns to analyze. So it's going to analyze all the columns where we have duplicate entries. It's going to remove them. I can also say my column has header row. Okay. And now you can see that the header rows have been added. So what we are seeing is that compare all the columns where we have duplicates or we have the same values across all the columns, remove them. So after doing this, I just click remove duplicate. And now the duplicate values have been moved. So here it says 8 duplicate rows were found and they have been removed. Now we are left with 22 unique rows here within our data. So I just click OK. Now they are gone. If I also want to trim the data manually, I can also select it. Go to the data cleanup, trim white space. So I click this and it says trimmed white space from 4 selected cells. And these were the cells. So I just click OK. Now everything is gone. Now the data has been cleaned and I can go ahead and then analyze it. Okay. So these are some of the data cleaning options that you can actually do or perform within your Google Sheet. Okay. So now I'm going to pause here, and then based on what you have done so far, if you have any questions, you can ask. Based on what you have done so far, if you have any questions, I'm giving you guys the opportunity to ask your questions before I'll go on with the next things that we have here. Yes, do you have any questions?
Yeah, good evening.
Yeah, good evening, Felix.
Yeah, please, from your point of view, Google Sheet and Excel Sheet, which one is more powerful?
Here I will not be able to, like, it's not about like which one is powerful. Okay, it's about the one that will be able to solve or help you to solve your problem. Excel has its own advantages. Google Sheet also has its own advantages. Okay, so here we can't really compare which one is powerful. It depends on how you are using it and the kind of problems that you are trying to solve with your data. So that's why we can't really check that Excel is more powerful than Google Sheet. They all have their own advantages. Some of the tools that you are seeing here, some of them are already available in Excel. If you go to Excel, we have some tools that are in Excel which are not in Google Sheet. We also have some tools here which are not also available in Google Sheet. So here we can't really judge that Excel is powerful than Google Sheet or Sheet is powerful than Excel. Yeah. But it's all about using it to solve the problem that you'll be able to solve it. So how you use it will determine which one is powerful. Okay, yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah, hello.
Please, I would like to know if you will share the link to this training in our emails after the training.
Come again.
I said I would like to know if you will share the link to this video in
Yeah,
our
the
mail.
video, yeah. I will share the videos with you. Yeah.
Okay, and secondly, I would like to know where First Man Data School is located.
Yes, so currently most of our trainings are virtual. So all our trainings, and we do everything virtually. So right now we don't have physical or in-person training that we are organizing, but next year in 2020, we are going to have an office space at Jowolu where we'll be having in-person training. But because of COVID restrictions and other things, we are not yet certain, but most of our trainings are held virtually, just like the one that we are having here. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Hello.
Yeah, hello.
I am Michael.
Okay, Michael.
Yeah, my question is about the title of the program before we started was starting with Google Sheet.
Yes.
And I think some of us are having it as base. We are thinking of the basics, but you
Yes.
have jumped to advanced aspect of it. So how are we going to have access to it? That means you are attracting us to come to your school to have our basics. Is that so?
Okay, yeah, I see. It's like these are because the basics, like when you talk about it's about how you be able to create new sheet, how you be able to add new sheet, how you be able to rename your sheet, how to work with the cells. These are the basic things which I've already covered. So these are not advanced, like how to filter, sort data. These are serious, like apart from how to rename the workbook, how to insert a sheet, how you can rename your sheet. I don't know the basic things that are apart from these ones. Yeah, so serious, like
yeah, these are the same as these are all the same basics that we have in Excel. But one advantage that I have seen in terms of the Google Sheet is that if you are taking data, you can create it and share it so people across the globe can enter their data wherever they are, and then you can use those data afterwards.
Yeah, it's
that's
just
one
like
advantage that I have.
Yeah, just like the one that we are working with. Remember, I have shared this with you, and all of you are here. So if I give you edit right, you'll be able to edit the workbook. We can work on it at the same time. So these are some of the things that we are going to look at when we are done with this series. We are going to look at how you can collaborate with others, how you can comment, how you can even chat with your colleagues whilst you are working on the same file.
Okay. Okay. I'm looking forward to that.
Okay, sure.
All right.
Okay.
Hello.
Yeah, Victor.
Yes. How do you handle missing values in Google Sheet?
How do you
missing values?
How do you
also when it comes to data cleaning?
Yes. So it depends on the approach that you are using when you are having missing values. Are you going to replace them? Are you going to remove them entirely? So if you want to remove them entirely, it's all about filtering your data. So remember here, when we're looking at filtering, so I'll go to data and then go to create filter. So here, remember one of the options that we have under filter condition. Okay, when you come to condition, you click on, you see that we have it's empty, it's not empty. So when you have missing values, you can decide to filter off those missing values, or maybe you want to focus on those missing values and find out how you'll be able to deal with them. Then you can use these two options. Okay, so if you want to get rid of them, then we can say it's not empty. So when you pick this option, any cell that is empty or any column which is empty is going to be filtered out. Then you can focus on those ones where you have the data. Sometimes you just want to see those missing values. Then you can pick this, it's empty. In that case, any cell that is empty will be shown to you. And if you have any way that you want to replace the missing values, then you can go ahead and then replace those missing values. So it depends on the approach that you are using to handle those missing values. But to get to see those missing values, we can filter by condition and you'll be able to see those missing values.
Okay, this now not related to the topics discussed so far.
Yeah, like dealing with missing values, no. It's not, not on dealing with missing values, yeah.
Now, does the Google Sheet has modeling capability, like in Excel, we have Power Pivot?
Power Query and those Power Pivot. No, it doesn't have, we don't have that option now where you can model data. No, we don't have a tool like Power Pivot within Google Sheet now, but I'm very sure something will come up, yeah, because these are innovative companies. They are always finding ways and means to add value or update their platform. So I'm sure it's something that might come up in future. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, let me take the last two questions and then we can continue. If not, we'll stay here. Gideon. Okay, I'm sure Gideon has been sorted already. Victor has been, okay. Matthias.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah, Matthias, go ahead.
Yeah. In fact, I had a lot of network challenges.
Okay.
And as a result, I couldn't follow everything. Will it be possible for me to get the video recording of
Yeah,
the whole?
The recorded section will be shared with you. Yeah,
Okay.
will be shared with all the participants. Yeah, so you can follow along. So you just follow from here. You can catch up with the recorded video.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Oh, thank you. My name is Evelyn Bourne, and that was my question. So you already answered it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so guys, let's continue. Okay, I'll give you another opportunity to ask your questions as we go along. Okay, so that's about clean your data. Now let's look at some of the functions that you can have access to when you are working with Google Sheets. Okay, so one thing is that almost some of the functions that we have here, most of them are also in Excel, but there are some few functions that are not available in Excel. Okay, so we are going to look at some of the basic functions that you can use to analyze and also summarize the data. So the basic one that we all know is sum, how to sum values. So here the same way, just like in Excel, you can also sum values. So here I can start off with equals, then sum. Now what do you want to sum? Then here we have to select the values or the cells that you want to sum. So we want to determine our total salary. So I just bring my sum with open parentheses, and then I can select the range that I want to sum. Okay, I can use shift. Okay, it seems I've reached the end of the data. Okay, so you can also use Control Shift down arrow to select the entire range. Control plus Shift plus down arrow on your keyboard. You'll be able to select everything within the range. So with this, I'll close my bracket and press enter. And now it seems that this is our total salary that we are paying for the entire staff of the company. So this is our total. You can also determine the average. So I will do equals average. Okay, so you want to determine the average salary. You can also bring in average, open parentheses, and select the range. So Control Shift down arrow to select the entire range. Or if you know where your data is starting from and ending, you can also use this option to also get. So you see that this is the average salary, which is 51,000. Okay. If you want to find the minimum, the maximum, all these things, you can also do it within Google Sheets. Okay, just like in Excel. So these are some of the basic functions that you can also find here. Okay. Now let's look at some of the other functions. Now, if you see that here, we see that if you take maybe the department, you see that we have account management repeating multiple times. We have other departments. Now, if you want to extract just the unique items or the different department that you have, we can use unique, and it will be able to extract just the unique items from a list. So here I'll type equals unique. This function is also available in Excel, but it's just for some selected users or the package based on the package that you are using. If you are using Office 365, you already have access to the unique. Okay, so the unique says unique rows in a provided source data. So here I just want to extract the unique items within the department column. So I'm going to click on this and I have to select the range. So I'll select this, Control Shift down arrow, and then close this and then press enter. And now if you take a look at this, this is the unique items that we have. So it means that in all, we have how many departments? Let me select it. So in all, we have 21 departments. Okay, but here, because there are duplicate entries, you'll not be able to determine all these just from the data. By using a function like unique, you have been able to extract all the unique values from the department. Now, remember, we entered the formula once, but you can see that it's populated to all these sides. That's what we call a dynamic array. Okay, so if you select this, look at the formula bar. You see that this is not a formula, but when you select the first one, you see that this is where the formula is. Okay, so all these ones are values. They are not formulas, but the formula is here. So if I want to delete this, I don't have to select everything. I just need to delete the formula. Everything will be gone. Okay, so that's the unique. I want to extract just the unique entries. Just do equals unique. And then just select the range. And then close it and then press enter. Now I have all my unique values here. Okay, so this is one of the functions that we have in Google Sheet. That's the unique. Okay, now let's do another thing here. Now, the company is introducing a policy for new salary. So they are going to increase the salary of the staff. Now, the salary is going to be based on their employment status, okay? So whether the person is a full-time, the person is doing a contract, or the person is working on hourly basis, or the person is doing a full-time. Now, we are going to determine their new salaries based on the proposed interest rate. Now, the proposed rate of increment. Now, we are saying that if the person is a contract, we are increasing their salary by certain amount or certain percentage. Okay, so let's see how we can do this. So first, let's get the unique list of the employment status. Okay, so I will do equals unique. So I'm going to select the entire range for the employment status. So now I have everything here. So let me bold this. Okay, so now if the person is a contract staff, we are going to increase their salary by 5%. So I'll type 0.05. Okay, so I'll type 5%. Now, if the person is working on hourly basis, we are going to increase their salary by 2%. If the person is working full-time, we are increasing the salary by 20%. If the person is working half-time, we are increasing the salary by 2.5%. Okay, so now we have this data here. So let's say increase. Okay, so now here we want to enter a formula that is going to look at the employment status and then give us the interest rate. So here, a couple of functions that you can use. Okay, and one of the basic one that we can all think about is the if statement, and then maybe if you look up or X lookup. Okay, but here I'm going to use if and then show you other functions that can work the same way as the if statement, but they're able to do it in more efficient and easy way. Okay, so here I would need someone who is familiar with the if function to guide me through this. I will need someone to help us to do this. So we want to use if statement to check if the employment status is contract, then the rate should be 5%. If it's on hourly basis, it should be 2%. If it's full-time, it should be 20%. If it's half-time, it should be 2.5. I need someone to guide us through, somebody who is confident and also would like to volunteer to help us to do this. So we want us to do it together. Yes, anyone? Okay, Victor.
Repeat the question again, kindly.
Yeah, so here we want us to use, so let me type in rate. So I want us to use if statement to determine the rate that is applicable based on the employment status. So if it's contract, this is the rate that we are looking at. If it's on hourly basis, this is the rate that we are looking at. If it's full-time, we are looking at this rate. If it's half-time, we are looking at this rate. So I want someone to guide us. We want to use if statement to determine the rate. I hope the question is clear. Okay. No, for now, I want us to use if.
Okay, we can use nested if functions.
Yeah, exactly. So if you are familiar, let's go ahead.
Equal sign, if.
Okay.
Open the bracket.
Yes, let's go.
Click on 06. 06.
06.
Yes.
Basing it on the employment status. So I'll click D6.
Yeah, D6. Then the value, if true, is going to be 5%.
Here you have not specified anything. If D6 is what?
Or if D6 is contract.
Okay, if it's equal to contract. Okay. Oh, sorry. Then the value should be
5%.
So 0.5. So 0.05.
If the value is not met, we use another if.
Okay.
Yes.
So if
if it is hourly,
So if D6 is equal to hourly,
it is 2.
0.02.
If again, if it is full time, then 0.2.
So 0.02.
And then you close that bracket.
There should be 0.2. Okay.
Otherwise, it is 2.5.
Okay. So otherwise 2, so 0.025. Then we can close it with the same number of brackets. I'll first enter. And now you see that here, the formula has been populated. So here we don't need to copy down. It has suggested an autofill. So if you're okay with this, we just click on accept. And now everything is populated. So those of us who are not familiar with the if statement is a logical condition or a logical statement or a function. So what it's doing is that it's going to test for a condition. Now, when the condition is met, then you specify the result that should be returned. So here I can type something like mail, okay? And start with a simple if that equals if. So I'll say if, then the first is logical expression. So I'll say that check if Q7, okay? If Q7 is equal to mail. Now, because mail is a test, I want to put it in double quotes, or I have to put it in a double quote. So I will bring my double quote M mail. So what I'm saying is that if Q7 is equal to mail, that's my expression. That's my logical test, what I want to test. So here I'm testing if Q7 is equal to mail, then comma. Now here you have value if true. So if it's true that Q7 contains mail, what should be the value that should be returned in the cell that I'm entering the formula? Now, if it happens that Q7 is equal to mail, say yes. Now, because yes is also a test, I have to put it in a quote. So I will say yes, comma. Then you have value if false. So if this is false, meaning that if Q7 is not mail, then what should be the value? Then I would say return no. Okay, so I'll close it and press enter. Now here it says what? Yes, because it's mail that we have here. If I change this to any other thing, it says no, because the condition that Q7 is equal to mail was not met. So because of this, it returned the value if false. Okay, that's what we are doing here. Let me give you another example. So here we have like 100. We want to test if the value here is greater than 100. Then we specify the value that should be returned here when the condition is met, and the value that should be returned when the condition is not met. Okay, so I'll type equals, say if this cell, the value there, if it's greater than 100, that's what I'm checking. Is the value in cell Q10 greater than 100? If yes, I have to give a comma. If yes, then I'll have to specify the value if true. So if it's yes, if it's greater than 100, then say greater. Okay, but because this is a text, I have to put it in a quote. So I'll say greater 100. But if it's false, in this case, if it's less than 100, what should happen? I'll say less than 100. Okay, so this is it. So I'll close it and press enter. Now it says less than 100. Why? Because in the formula we said if it's greater than, okay, so let's make it greater than or equal to. Even that, it doesn't qualify. So let's maintain it this way. Or let's make this 99, okay? And the first enter. And now, still, this doesn't make sense, but let's try to maintain it this way, okay? So here we are saying that if the value is greater than 99, say it's greater than, okay, so let's make it 99 instead, okay. And now it says this one is greater than 99. If I type in 50 or 50.3, it says this is less than 99. Okay, so we use the if statement to test for conditions, and we specify the value that should be returned when a condition is met and the value that should be returned when a condition is not met. So those of us who are yet to get started with Excel, we have an online course free, so you can visit our website and then have access to it, okay? So I'm sharing the link with you. Those of us who are yet to get started with Excel, who doesn't have background in Excel, you go to Firstman Hub, okay? hub.firstman.io, you go to courses, and these are some of the courses that we have, okay? So here, Excel Fundamentals. This course is free. So let me share the link with you in the chat, okay? So you can sign up if you are yet to start with Excel. You learn all these functions, okay? So I'm sharing it in the chat. Okay, so you can visit our page and then learn for free, okay? Now let's go ahead. So that's the if, okay? So here we are combining multiple if statements. So what we are doing is that check if D6 here, if the value there is equal to contract, then return 0.05. Now we want to test for another condition. So here immediately we get to the value if false, we invoke another if. That if this condition is not met, instead of us specifying the condition if false, we bring in another if statement to check for another condition. So you're saying that if D6 is equal to contract, then return 0.05. If this is not true, then check this condition again. If D6 is equal to hourly, then return 0.02. Okay. Then when we get to the value if false, we invoke another if. That if this condition is not met, then check this condition again. Is it equal to full time? If that's the case, return 0.2. But if none of this condition is met, then return 0.05. In this case, we are looking at full time. Okay, so that's what we are doing here. So I can select this and then apply a percentage formatting to the data. Okay. Okay, now, so do you see that here we have used 3 if statements. Now, if we are having multiple conditions, like a lot of them, you could have used like 20 or 30 if statements, okay? But here's a very simple thing. But there's also a new function, which you call ifs. We also have another function which we call ifs. So here I'm going to type rate 2. Okay, so the ifs that it helps you to evaluate multiple conditions without using nested if. So here if I type equals ifs, okay, and click on this, the first condition is if this is the same thing that we are doing here, but here we are using ifs. So if this is equal to contract, so I've explained why you need to put this into a quote. Then what should be the value? Then return 0.005, then comma. Then we go to second condition. If this time D6 is equal to hourly, then what should be the value? So you have to be using this tip, okay, to help you to make sure that you are doing the right thing. Then if it's equal to hourly, what should be the rate? It should be 0.02, okay? Then comma, then we go to the next condition. If this same place, if it's equal to full time, then it should return 0.2. Now, if it's equal to, okay, so now we go to the next condition. So this time we are checking if it's equal to half time. If it's equal to half time, let me type my half time wall. Then the value should be, okay, here. If it's equal to half time, then the value should be 0.25. 0.025, okay? So here I just close the brackets. There's a problem. Apostrophe somewhere. Let me, if this is equal to contract, return this. If this 6 is hourly, return this. If it's full time, return this. If it's halftime, return 0. Okay. So my parenthesis is having, okay, so now this is the formula. Okay, so you have some values somewhere. So let me check. Okay, halftime is hyphenated. Okay. So let me copy the formula down. Okay, let me type the formula again. It seems something is missing somewhere. And let me look at it. If D6 is equal to contract, return 0.05. Okay, this will be 0.05. If D6 is equal to hourly, return 0.02. If it's equal to full time, return 0.2. If it's halftime, return 0.02. So where's the problem coming from?
I think the halftime, the D didn't come. The D is equal to halftime.
Oh, okay. Okay. So I have to select this equals to, okay. Okay, let's clear everything and then let's start afresh. So let's try again. So equals ifs. Okay. So bring our if statement. Condition, if this is equal to contract, and the value should be 0.05. And if D6 is equal to hourly, then the value should be 0.02. If here is equal to full time, and the result should be 0.2, and comma, if this is equal to halftime, then the result should be 0.025. So I'm going to close this and press enter. And now we have the values here. Okay, so let's format this with a percentage format. And now if you take a look at this, you can see that here we are having the same result, but this is faster and easier as compared to the nested if. So here we are using ifs, okay? So indirectly we are using nested ifs, okay? But if you compare the values, they are the same. Let me show you another function that we can also use to do the same thing. So this is going to be rate 3, and that's the switch function, okay? Switch. So here I'll do equals switch, okay? So the switch means that if it finds a particular value, it should replace it with this. Okay, that's what we are going to do here. So I'll click this. First is the expression. So you should check the cell. Okay, that's the expression. You should check. Then comma. So case, you see that we have case 1. So the case where the cell contains contract. So I'll bring in contract. Okay, comma. So the case where it's contract, then the value should be 0.05. Then comma. Case where it's equal to hourly, okay, then the value should be 0.02. Case where it's equal to full time, then the value should be 0.2. And then case where it's half time, okay, or we can even leave it this way. Okay, so the default, if none of these conditions is met, or the default is 0.025. So I'll close this and then press enter. And now if you take a look at this, let's format it. Now, if you take a look at this, the values are exactly the same, but you can see that the formula is getting simpler. So the switch is this. First is the expression. So what we are seeing is that check D6, okay? And I'll give you a comma. The next is the case. So when you check D6, case where the cell contains contract, then replace the contract in the cell with 0.05. Case where the same place, the expression, which is D6, case where the content is hourly, then return 0.02. Case where it's halftime, return 0.2. but by default, that is the case 2 or default. So default, if it's none of these, then it should return 0.025, which is the case for halftime. So that's what we are doing here. So you can see that the formula is getting simpler, okay, using the switch. So these are some of the ways that you can also use some of the new functions that we have. These functions are also available in Excel, but if you are using 365, you have access to them. But with a normal, maybe Office 3, when you are using Excel 2016, I'm not sure you have it now, okay? But on Google Sheet, you have these functions that you can play with, okay? So these are some of the functions that we have in Google Sheet. Now, let me take you through some of the other functions, okay? And the first one I will introduce you to is sort. So remember, we looked at how we can sort data. We can also use a formula to sort the data in a different location, okay? So let's look at how we can do this. So I'm going to clear everything from this sheet, okay? Clear. Okay, let me delete it, okay? So now I can also get rid of these guys, okay? So right click and then pick what? Delete columns. So we are deleting H to K. So I'll just delete it, okay? Now I have this data. Now, if I want to sort, oh, where are the column headers? Undo, oh, okay. So let me delete them, okay. Okay, so now I have this data here. Let me get rid of the rate, okay. Now I want to sort this by salary, okay, in maybe a different location. I can use the sort function to do it. So here I'll type equals sort, okay, and pick this. The first thing that we need to provide is the range. The range has to do with the data, okay? So this is the range. So I'm going to select everything and then Control-Shift down arrow to select the entire range. Then comma, sort by column. What column do you want to sort by? I want to sort it by salary, okay? I want to sort the data after I've brought it here. I want to sort it by salary. So I'm going to select the salary column, Control-Shift down arrow, then comma. Then you see this is descending. So by default, the data will be sorted in descending order. But if I want to sort it in, it will be sorted in ascending order. Now, if I want to sort it in descending order, I have to say is descending, is ascending equals false. So you have to type false, okay? I have to type false and close the bracket and then press enter. And now if you take a look at this, you can see that it's the same data that we have here, but it has been sorted by salary. Okay, just using the sort. We just type the formula in one cell. Now it has spelled, and now we have it in the other cell. That's what we call dynamic arrays. So in Excel, we also have the sort function, but it's available in Office 365, okay? So here we are creating a copy of this data, but we are sorting it after we have created a copy using the sort function. So what we need is the range that you want to pick or the data. Now, what do you want to sort by? You want to sort by the salary column. Then in what order do you want to sort it? Is it by ascending or descending? By default, it will be sorted in ascending order. If you want to sort it in descending, then you have to set this to false. We are saying that it's ascending equals false, meaning you want to arrange it in descending order. So after the data is here, I can format it just like this one, okay? That's using the sort, okay? Now, we can also decide to also bring in the data, but maybe filter it, okay? As we keep a copy of the data, we want to sort it and then just pick maybe the top 10 or the top 20 or any number that we want. That's when we have the sort n. So the sort n helps you to sort the data in specific order and select the top number of items within the sorted data. Okay, so let's see how the sort n also works. So here I'll type equals sort n. Okay, it says return the first n items in a data set after performing something on it. Okay, after sorting the data. Okay, so here I'll pick this. So the first is the range. So what range do you want to pick? This is the data I want to pick. So Control-Shift down, then comma, then n, how many items do you want to pick? I want to pick the top 10 items. So I'll just type 10. And then you also have the display ties mode. So in cases where you have people who are having the same values that you are using to sort the data, what should happen? But this is optional. So I'm going to leave it and then click comma and then move on to the sort column. What column am I sorting by? I want to sort it by salary. So I'm going to select the salary column, Control Shift down arrow, then comma, then it's ascending. Here, we want to sort it by salary in descending order and pick the first 10 people with the highest salary. Okay, so here is ascending. I'm going to set it to false. Okay, and then close the bracket. Okay, and then press enter. And now if you take a look at this, we have just extracted just the first 10. Let me see. Okay, now because we included the header, so here we can make it 11. So we can have 11 items aside the column headers, and then press enter. And now we have it this way. So these are the top 10 people with the highest salary in the company. So if you take a look at this, is taking 89,780. This is taking 89,740 in that order. So you just have just the top 10 people who are taking the highest salary. So I can go ahead and then format this. Okay, done. And now the data is here using the sort N. Okay, you'll be able to extract just a sample of the data that you are interested in after sorting it. Okay, yeah. Now let's look at other functions that we can also use, and that's the filter. Okay, that's the filter. So you can also use filter. Filter just works like just the sort, but in another way. So here you are filtering. You remember we have looked at how to sort data just in place, but sometimes you want to filter the data in a different place. Okay, so here I want to filter a data based on the department. So I'm going to enter one of the departments, maybe account management. Maybe account management. So I'm going to paste this here. Okay, account management. And I want to filter the data to show me only the department that I'm going to enter in cell M4. So here I'll type equals filter. Okay, it says filter a range based off provided conditions. So I'm going to select this. First is the range, and this is the data I'm working with. Then comma. The next is the condition under which I'm fetching the data. So the condition is where the department column. So I'm going to select the entire department column, where the department column is equal to the department that I have entered in the cell. That's the condition I'm fetching the data. So what we are saying is that extract this data here. Okay, extract this data where the department is equal to the department I have entered here. So in this case, we are saying that filter the data and return the data where the department is equal to account management. So with this done, I'm going to close the bracket and then press enter. Now look at this. Let me copy the column headers. And now look at this data. You see that when it comes to the department, we just have for account management. If I change this to human resources, now you see that the data has been filtered. Now it's showing just for human resources. If I change it to IT, now the data is showing IT, and it's very dynamic. So here, let me pick another department that I saw, marketing. And now it's giving us marketing. If you try to ring in something that is not in the list, for example, finance is not in the list, and now you see that there's nothing there. Okay, so here, let me make it marketing. Okay, and now you'll be able to filter the data in a very nice way. If you even want to take it further, you can create a data validation, which will be the next thing that we are going to look at. So you can create a data validation where this is going to be a list of the departments, and then you can filter by just clicking on a drop-down list. Okay, so let me show you the data validation. We'll come back and work on this and make this very dynamic. Okay, so here I come to data validation. We are going to look at how to create data validation. Now, data validation helps you to make sure that when people are entering data, they are entering the right data. Because here, every cell here accepts anything. I can type anything. Meanwhile, if this is supposed to be number, somebody can type anything and the person can go scot-free. But when you put in data validation restrictions in place, you are going to restrict the user to the valid or the kind of data that you want them to enter. So here, if I want to create a list, for example, you see that we have the department here. If I want to create a list or a drop-down list, I can create a drop-down list using data validation. So first, let's extract the department that we have, okay? So I'm going to use unique to extract the different department that we have, okay? So we have all the departments here. Now I want to create a drop-down list here. So our users can just select from a drop-down, okay? So here, what I need to do is to go to data. And you see that we have data validation here. So I'm going to click on this. And now range is this, that's the cell that we have selected. Then we have the criteria. So here when you click on the drop down, we have list from a range and a list of items. We have number, test, date, custom, formula, and then checkbox. So if you are using list from a range, we can populate a list. We can create a drop down list with values in the cell. So here I can enter the range of cells that I want to use to key the list. So I'll click here and then select this. So this is what I want to use to key the list. So I'll click OK. And then here I have this option on invalid data. What should we do? We should reject the input. Okay, so I'm going to pick this and click save. So now you see that there's a drop down. So when you click on the drop down, you can see that all the lists are here. Okay, so I can select this and copy it down to the other places. So in this case, if the user is entering the data and it gets to this point, the user can just select from the list. Let me resize it. The user can just select from a list and then the person will move on. Okay, so maybe human resources as we type. And this is also searchable. Unlike data validation that we have in Excel, where you have a list, it's not searchable. So here I can just search for something, maybe account management. Account management is not here. Account management should be part of the list, or it means that we didn't add it. So maybe I can search for creative, okay, and I just pick it and then I move on. Okay, so this will help your users to speed up. Like when they are entering the data, it will speed up data entry. It also makes sure that they don't type anything which is not in the list of the department that you have. So here if I try to type UCC and press enter, it says the data you have entered in L18 violate the data validation rules set on the cell. So it will not allow you to enter anything, which is not a department. So this will avoid people entering anything within your data. So here we have restricted them to a particular list that they can pick the data from. Okay, so that's one side of it. Sometimes you can also create a data validation for date. Okay, but before we go on with the dates, let's go back to this. And then here, instead of typing in the department, we can populate it with a data validation list. So let's create one with the department. So I'll select this data validation and here from a range, and then we select the cell. So I'm going to pick it from this data validation sheet. Okay, we already have the department here. So I'm going to highlight all of them and click OK. And then pick reject input and click save. So now within my functions, you see that there's a drop down. So here, if I pick account management, the data has been filtered. If I pick ADC, it's filtered. If I pick creative, it's filtered. If I pick IT, and this becomes dynamic and it's something that you can develop for your organization. So at every point in time, if there are new things, if you add new data to this and you come back and filter, you'll be able to get the updated data that you are going to work with. Maybe training, you'll be able to pick it from here, and maybe manufacturing, you can also pick it from here. And this is very dynamic. Okay, now let's go on with the data validation. Now let's look at how to work with date. So here they are going to be entering date. I can restrict them with the kind of date that they can enter. Now remember, there was one time I was working with one credit union. So we have mobile bankers. So every day they go out to collect customers' deposits. Now when they come, they are supposed to enter their transactions the day that they collected those deposits. But some of them will not enter it in that particular day. They wait the next day before they enter it. And sometimes this comes with its own issues. So the company wanted to restrict them from entering past transaction. One of the ways that we were able to solve that problem was to use a data validation that if they pick any date, which is less than, or which is not this date, the system should not allow them. And we're able to restrict them from that. The same way, when you are working with data, you can also restrict your users within a specific defined range that they can enter their data. And you can do this using data validation. So here when I go to, let me select everything, and then go to data, then data validation for my list, and I'm going to pick date. And here, the criteria, you can click on the drop down and say the date should be before, or the date should be on or before, or the date should be after, or the date should be between. So you can, based on what you want to do, you can restrict this entry. I remember this auditing firm like KPMG, they have, like, when they open the application for entry level, they have specific age that they are looking out for. So in their form, they have a section for date of birth. They have made it such a way that if you enter a date of birth after or before a certain date, the system will not allow you to continue. Okay, so the same way you can decide, okay, the date that they enter here should be after this particular date, or it should be before this particular date. You can do all these ones using any of these options. So here, let's pick before. So the date they enter should be before, or maybe let's pick after. Okay, so the date they enter should be after, it should be after 1st January 2022. Okay, and you say reject input and click save. So now this is saved. And now when you come here, you don't see anything. But because we have data validation here, when you double click, instead of this calendar comes in, then you can pick the date from a calendar instead of entering it manually. So here I can pick this. And it says the data that you have entered violate the data validation rule. Why? Because we said the data entered should be after 2022, but here you are picking something which is before 2022. So here I can move on to 2022 and maybe pick 21st. Now everything is accepted. Okay, and I can move on. Here I double click and I activate the calendar. I can pick something and then I move on. Okay, this one violate the rule. So you can double click and then pick another date. That's very intuitive. This, we don't have it in Excel yet. Okay. The same way, if you actually enter a date, not only about data validation, but if you actually enter a date, okay, and maybe subsequently I want to change this, I can double click on it and this calendar will come up. Then I can pick the next date. So it's not only about data validation. When you have a date, you can just double click on it. If you want to change it, you can change it. Okay. So this applies to Google Sheets. Okay. So that's the data validation. So there are so many options on the data validation. You can play around it and see how you'll be able to use it to restrict your users and make sure your users are always typing the right data. Okay. Now let's look at the next functions. This is about working with external data. So sometimes you want to pull data from maybe a website into your sheet and work with it. We have some functions that you can actually use to do all these things. Okay. So here, let's look at some of the functions that we can use to extract data from external places. So here we want to import data from a website. So let's see world population data. So I'll search for world population 2021. Okay. And I come to this website. So here we have a table for countries in the world by population 2021. Now I want to be able to analyze this data within my Google Sheet. I can just copy the URL. So I'll copy this, okay, and go to my sheet and use one of the functions, import HTML. So I'll do equals import. So here we have so many options: import field, import data, import range. So you can use this option to import data from another spreadsheet, or you can also use this to import data or a table from an HTML page. So I'm going to click on this. The first is the URL. So this should be in quotes, okay? I'm going to paste the link that I just copied from the website and then close this. So this should be in quote. Okay. Then comma. The next one is the query. So what item do you want to pick from the website? We want to pick this. Okay. We want to pick this. This is a table. So here I'm going to type table. So you have to make sure this is also in a quote. Then comma. The next thing is the index. So when you visit the website, some of the websites may be having multiple tables. So you have to indicate the number of the table that you want to extract. So if you take a look at this website, it seems this is the first table that we have. Okay. So when I come to my formula, I just type 1 and then close the bracket. So here it needs 3 things. First is the URL or the link where you want to extract the table from. So you can just copy the website, including the HTTPS. You have to copy it and then paste it, but make sure you put it into a quote. Then the query, it has to do with the item you want to extract. Is it a list or is it a table? So here I want to extract a table. So I put the table in a quote. Now the index has to do with the number of the item you want to retrieve. So the website has multiple tables. Maybe you want to retrieve the second table, then you have to type 2. But here, what we want to extract is the first table. So I'll just type 1 and then press enter. And now here it says what? Loading. Now look at this. We have the data here. We have the data here in Google Sheets. So here we can go ahead and then analyze this data in any direction that we want to analyze it. Okay. So here I can select everything and then apply alternating formatting. Okay. So here I'll go to this fill. Okay. Or I can go to format and pick alternating colors. And here we have different styles that you can apply to this data. Okay, so let's pick this one and click done. And now if you take a look at this, this has been formatted nicely and I can go ahead and analyze it in my Google Sheet. Okay. Now, just like Excel, we also have pivot table that you can also use it to analyze your data. So pivot tables help you to summarize your data. Okay, without necessarily using formulas. Because here, for example, we have this data relating to a phone company, the company that sells phones. So we have their sales reps, the country that they are in, the region, the month, the year, and the name of the sales rep, the brand of phone that they are selling, the price of the phone, and the quantity that was sold, and then the total sales. Now I want to analyze this data. For example, we want to determine, okay, for each of the brands, how much have you been able to sell or how many have you been able to sell? Now, to be able to do this, you have to use some of the functions like sum ifs to be able to do all these analysis. But here you can use pivot tables to do the analysis. We also have the pivot table in Excel. So let's see how we can do this. So what I will do is to select my data, okay? And then I'll go to data or insert. And then when you go to insert, we have pivot table. So I'm going to click on pivot table. Now it has been able to identify the date range that I'm using. So my data ends here. So it starts from B7 to K1054. Okay, that's what I'm using. Here, insert to, we have 2 options. We can pick a new sheet or we can put it in the existing sheet. So here, let's put it in the current sheet that we are working with. So I'm going to pick existing and then select here. So that's where I want to place it and click OK. And then click on Kit. And now I have my pivot table. Now you see that here it comes with suggestion. Do you want to calculate average of sales for each of the sales reps? Or do you want to count the number of unique months for each brand? Or you want the average sales for each region? Now, if it's something that you want to work with, you can just click on it and you'll be able to insert a pivot table. If it's not within the suggestions here, then you can go ahead and create your own. So the first thing that we want to do is to look at our total sales by brand. Okay, so here the pivot table has 4 main areas. It has rows. So the rows are the ones that you are going to see here, the rows. Then we have the columns. These are the ones that are going to be in the columns. And then we have the values. So the value has to do with what you want to show. Do you want to show the total sales or their total quantity? So most often the values are numeric values. Then we have the filters. So do you want to filter the data by something? Then you can place that particular column in your filters. So let's create a very simple pivot table where we are looking at total sales by brand. So my rows, I'll click on add. What do you want to use in your rows? I want to use the brand. So I just pick the brand from the columns. Now you see that the brands are here. Now I just want to add the values, which is the total sales. So it's going to aggregate the total sales for each of the brands. So I'll go to add. What do you want to add? I want to add the total sales. Okay. And now when you click outside, we have our pivot table, which is showing the brands and their total sales. So now from this, you can quickly see the total sales for each of the brands. So for Apple, this is the total sales. For Hisense, this is the total sales. Okay. If you also want to analyze this further, you can go ahead and insert another pivot table. Okay. This one, the same place. So I'll select here, click OK. In this case, let's see the total sales for each of the brands for each of the years. So in my rows, I click add and I add the brand. Okay, so you see that the brands are here. In my columns, I'll add the years. And now you can see that I have the years in the columns. Now what should be used on the values or in the values? I click add and I want to add the total sales. And now for each of the years, you'll be able to determine the total sales for each of the brands. Okay, so you have it here. And now we have it here. So we have been able to create a very nice report that we can include in our sheet, which is going to provide us with a summary of this entire data that we have here. Okay, the entire data. Now let's look at working with chart. So just like pivot tables, and sometimes you want to visualize your data. Okay, here we also have charts that you can also use to visualize your data. So here, if you see that we have the brands and their total sales. If I want to visualize this using a chart, I can highlight the whole data, go to insert, and then go to chart. And now by default, it has selected a pie chart for us. After you have selected this, you see that this chart editor pane will open for you. So this is the setup, and you have the customize. So the setup is used to configure the chart, and the customize is used to customize the appearance and the feel of the chart. So here on the setup, you see that we have chart type, and here you see pie chart. If I want to change it, I click on the drop down and I pick maybe a column chart, and now we have it this way. And then when you scroll down, you see the data range, that the data range is from B5 to C12. And then you see what is in the x-axis and what is in the series, which is the total sales. Then you see that here it has checked use row 5 as the headers. So this is the row 5. So you are using the row 5 as the headers. And then you also have use column B as the labels. And the column B is what has been used as the labels here. Okay. Now, if I want to customize my chart, I just go to customize. So you see the series, the color. If I want to change the color, I have to go to the series. These are series. So I have to go to series. And you see the fill color is auto. That's the automatically set it for you. If you want to change it, I just click on the drop down and pick the color. And I see that the color has changed. If I also want to format specific series, you see this option, format data points. So I'm going to click add. And I want to format Hisense differently. So from this, I will select Hisense and click OK. How do you want to format Hisense? I want to use this color here because that this has been formatted differently. Got it. Okay. If I also want to add data labels, like the values for each of them, I just have to check data labels. And now the data labels for the values will be on top of each of the series. Okay. Now let me collapse this pane. If you also want to get rid of these grid lines, okay, you go to grid lines, and then you can turn off the grid lines. So you can have, or you'll be able to come up with a clean chart, and you can resize this. You can also like increase or decrease the size. Okay. You can also move it around. Okay. Here. So I can place it here nicely. Okay. And this would be my chart. If I want to customize the chart header, I can select the chart. You see the 3 ellipses here, or more options. You go to edit charts. It will bring me to the same pane. So I click here and you see that we have chart style. You can also look at the style of the chart. Do you want to use 3D And click on this, you come up with 3D charts. But 3D are always one. Like when you want to visualize data, avoid using 3D charts. Okay, though they look good, but they are not good at communicating insight. Okay, especially when you want to compare the values. So I can turn it off. If I want to customize the chart title, you come to chart and add this title. And here we have chart subtitle, we have chart title, and here it says total sales versus brand. So I can change it and say total sales by brands. Okay, and this is going to be the title for my chart. So you see it here. Okay, you can do so many things with charts. Now let me put this one here, and I can also select this. Okay, here we are looking at countries and their total sales. So maybe I want to use a pie chart with donor chart. I can highlight this, go to insert, chart. And here it has come up with a column chart. That's nice. You can use this. But if I want to change this to maybe a donor chart, and here you can see so many options. We have suggested charts. We also have line, area chart, column chart, bar chart, pie chart. We also have donor chart here. If you want to use a scatter plot, you can also use, if you want to use a map, you can also use a map. If you also want to use waterfall chart, or you want to use histogram, or if you want to use box and whisker or this candlestick chart, you can also use it. If you want to use a table chart, you can also use this. If you want to use a tree map, or if you want to use a timeline chart, you'll be able to do all these ones here. Okay, so here I would just want to use donut. Then you can pick donut chart and you'll be able to customize it to suit how you want your chart to appear. Okay, and then I also have this. So let's look at how you can also use a stacked column chart. So I'll highlight the whole data here. So here we have month, and then we have different places that we are selling. So domestic, we have Europe and then Asia. So when you select this, go to insert and then chart. And then you see that this has given us a line chart showing how our sales in these locations have been changing over the month. So you can see that in April, we recorded a spike in our total sales in Europe from here. Now, when I select this line chart, and I go to line chart, I can change it and then pick maybe a stacked column chart. Okay, you can pick a stacked, or you can still work with a line chart, or you can also pick this smooth line chart and you'll be able to see how the chart will look like. Okay, when you go to customize, you can also customize your chart. So here, when you go to series, we have the series here. Okay, if you want to add data labels, you can add data labels to this. If you want to show maybe trend line, you can also add your trend. Okay, if you want to format a specific data point, you can also use this format data point and you'll be able to also format it from here. You can also go to the legend and also customize your legend. Okay, if you go to horizontal axis, you can also do that. Go to vertical axis. There are so many formatting options that you can apply to your data, okay, when you are looking at visualizing your data here, okay? So these are some of the visuals that you have. If I want to put this into a table, I can also change this and pick a table. And now you can see that this is a table that you can really resize, unlike the ones that you have in the cells. This, you can move it around. Let me select it. You can move it around. You can resize it nicely, okay? And this is something that becomes handy, especially when you are working in Excel. Sometimes you are developing your dashboard, you want to add a table to your dashboard. In the cells, it becomes very difficult to manipulate it. But here we have this table chart, which you can move around and place it within your dashboard. If I want to resize it this way, I do this way. If I also want to customize it, I can go to customize table, and you can customize your table with a field, maybe pagination, you want to add some pages. So page 1 and then page 2. If the data is too much, you can put it into pages. Okay, and this is very nice. Okay, yeah. And one thing about Google Sheet is that, for example, look at this. We have this whole data here. The data that we have worked with so far, they are all summarized, okay? But sometimes the data will not be summarized and you want to visualize it. For example, here, if I want to show the total sales by brand, You could see that here we have the brands all together. The data is not aggregated. If you are doing this in, for example, in Excel, you would have seen different entries for all of them. But here, when you are looking at Google Sheet, even within your chart, you can aggregate the data. Now let's see how this works. So I'm going to select my data, okay? And I'll go to Insert and pick Chart. Now you see that you see how it looks like. Now you don't see any sense in this visual, okay? But here you can ask, oh, let me bring my chart up. Okay, let me get rid of this. Okay, and I'll go to Insert, Chart. And here, you see that when you come to the chart type, you have a column chart. Now look at something here. In the series, it's using the source ID, and then it's using the country as label. So I'm going to remove all these ones, okay? So here I'm going to pick remove all series. So we don't have anything in the series. So in the series, I'm going to, in the x-axis, I'm going to add the brand in the x-axis, okay? And in my series, I'm going to add the total sales. Now look at this. You see how the data looks like now for each of the brands. So even though you see Samsung here, because the data is not aggregated, you are going to have different points or different series for each of the transaction. But here we have this option here, aggregate. So you can aggregate the data so that you'll be able to get a sense out of this data. So here when I turn on aggregate, now look at this. It has aggregated all the total sales or aggregated all the sales for Samsung, for Apple, and all the products, and it's giving you the total amount. And one thing is that you can, with a series, you see the option here. You see that it's added everything. You can also change the aggregation. Instead of sum, you can say, no, give me the average. Instead of average, you can say, okay, plot the maximum for each of them, or maximum sales. If you want to get the minimum, if the data is skewed and you want to get the median, you can also use the median here. So here you can, just like pivot table, you can also change the aggregation right on your chart. So here I don't need to do a summary of the data before I can use a chart. Within my chart, I can aggregate the data. Okay, I can aggregate the data. So that's how you can also visualize your data using charts with Google Sheet. Now, the final stage, I'm going to show you how you can share your worksheet or your workbook with other people. So sometimes if you're working in a big organization, you have a lot of people who are working on the same data or the same workbook. There's a way that you can share your report or your workbook with others. So here, after you have worked on it, or even in the course of working with it, you can share this. Okay, so you have this share option. So when you click on share, you can share it with specific people using their emails. So here you just provide the emails of the people that you want to share this report with. So I'm going to share this with First Man School, okay? And it says notify these people, and I'm going to share it with them. Now, after you have entered their emails, you can change their rights and privileges. Are they going to be viewers only? So the viewers will be able to view the data, but they can't modify or do any editing. But with editors, they have editing rights, so they can edit the data and do so many things with the data that you have shared with them. We also have commenters. So these are people who can comment on the report. So maybe your boss maybe after you have worked on your data, you want to share it to your boss for him to review. You can give him the right as a commenter, okay? But here we want to give First Man an editing right. So I'll click on send. So this First Man is going to receive an email notification that I have shared this workbook with him. So let me open Gmail and then show you how this will appear. So I'm going to change this to First Man School. And now look at this. We have this email, spreadsheet shared with you, do more with Google Sheet. So when I click on this, I'll be able to see the data and I can open it right from my email. Okay, so I click open. And now here I am in this data, okay? But if you take a look at this, so I'm the user here. So let me change it to First Man School. And now first man is here. So now it's okay. Now you can see that whilst first man is looking at the data, he's able to see those of the colleagues who are online. So you can see those who are online right from here. Okay, so I can see here. Now within this data that they have shared with you, they can comment, you can even chat with the user. So right within first man, this first man's account. So here may be this figure, I don't agree with Festus on this figure, I can comment on this. So I can right click and pick insert comment. So what comment do you want to insert? I will say, please confirm this figure. Okay, and you can even tag the person. So I can use @ and tag Thomas into this mail and even assign this figure to him, that maybe he needs to confirm this figure with maybe marketing department or the sales department. Then I can click on assign. Then I can assign it to him. So when I click assign, now this has been sent. So now if I go to my side, Thomas, and I come to this particular data, now look at something here. It gives me that there's a new comment on this particular worksheet. So if I go back to this sheet, okay, and I come here, I'll be able to see the comment. Let me see. Here, I can open the comment, okay? And I'll be able to see the comment from first man. He says, please confirm this figure, okay? And I can even reply to him. I can even provide a reply. Okay, sir. Okay, and I can send reply. And this has been sent to him, okay? This has been sent. So now if I go to first man, if I go to first man and I click on this, now look at this, please confirm this, and then you can check the comment here. Okay, then I can say, okay, and then reply. Then Thomas also, so you can be engaging with the team right on the same report, okay? So here, you can also do a chat. You can also come up with a chat with them. You can come chat directly with them, okay? So here, you can send them email directly. You can send them a message. So here, when I click on message, you can also send them a message by activating the chat. And this is also another platform that we have on Google Sheet, okay? So now I'm not going to go into this, okay? But let me go to Thomas here. And now you'll be able to see the comments that has been between the two of them, okay? And then just the same way, if I go here, this is the chat. So I can chat with a particular person. So maybe okay, so here I can chat. So when you chat, all those who have access to the file will be able to see the chat. So I'll say, hello guys. Okay, and then press enter to send it. So this is the one that I typed. If I go to first man, you see that it says what? One unread message. If I click on this, I see this. Hello guys, and then I can reply. Hi, Festus. Okay, when I go to Festus account, when I go to my account here, chat, you see that the chat has come in here. So whilst you are working with your team, you have all these opportunities to interact with them and then also try to collaborate and even share ideas on the same file. Now, after you have worked on your worksheet, if you also want to download it, when you go to file, you also have this option. So you can download it as an Excel file or as a PDF or as a web page. We also have this option where you can also publish it to the web. Okay, so here, for example, under this option, when you come to web page, you can also use this option and you can embed this on a website. So when I click on web page, it has been downloaded here, and then I can get it and then also work with it on a website. The same when I come to file, we also have this option share, and here you can share with others or you can publish it to the web. So when I click on publish to web, you can publish it by using a link, or you can publish it as a web page, or you can click on embed and you'll be able to embed this on a website. You can decide to embed the entire document, or you can pick specific spreadsheet that you want to share or you want to embed on a website. So maybe with a chat, I want to embed the chat on a website. I can use this option and then publish. Now you see published content and settings. You can click on this option, and here you have entire document, or you can pick specific charts. And here you see this option, automatically republish when changes are made. So if this report is not static and you want it to be dynamic so that when you make changes within the Google Sheet, it should be reflected on any website where you have embedded this spreadsheet, then you can pick this option. So anytime you make changes to the report, it's going to reflect on wherever the report has been pasted or it has been shared. Okay, so now let's publish this by creating a link. So here I'm going to change it to just the chart. Okay, the chart sheet is what I want to share. So here you can paste it as a link as a PDF or as a web page. So let's make it a web page. And here, let's make it just the chart. Okay, so I'll just select the chart. And even the chart, I can even select the specific chart that I want to publish. Okay, so with this done, I'm going to click on publish. It says, do you want to publish? Okay. And now it has given me the link. So I can copy this link. Okay. And then I can open a new tab and then paste the link and click or enter. And now you can see that the report is here. So the same report that we saw on the web page is here, and it's very interactive. So here, when they hover their mouse over it, they'll be able to see the values here. My table is here, so I can click on this, okay, and you'll be able to see everything. Now, if I go back to this sheet and then I make changes, let's go to the chart. If I come here and I make changes to this, let's see if this is going to reflect on the page. Okay, so let me come to the chart. And here, let's assume that I make changes to this. So here, instead of it showing a column chart, let's change this. So let me change it to edit chart. Let me change it to something different. So let me pick maybe a line chart. Okay, let's assume that this doesn't go with a line chart. So let's pick something like this. Okay, now we have this one here. Now let's go to the report again. And now watch this. This is not reflecting. Okay, let's go back to this report. Okay. Because I have shared it. When I was sharing, I indicated it should. I don't know what is going on. Okay, let me reload it. Oh, I didn't pick that option. Let me check. So go to File, Share, Publish to Web. And here automatically republish when changes are made. Okay. Okay. That's what I did. So here is entire document. Now let's pick chart and let me copy this. Okay. And then try this again. So I have this one here. Let me try to edit this. So now let me change this to something different again. So let me pick this time. And then let me go to this and then. Okay, now you can see that now it has reflected or it's reflecting the new changes that we made to the file. Okay, so after the report, if it's not sensitive and it's something that you want to embed on a website or something that you want people to access using a link, you just have to go to the file tab, go to share, and then you can publish it to the web. If you also want to share it with specific people, then you can also share it with them. So this is how you'll be able to use the Google Sheet to also analyze data, visualize the data, and share your work with other people. So this is where I'm going to end the section. Our time is fast spent. So I'm going to end here. Just 5 minutes. If you have any questions, you can ask.